Yeah, it's not a real expensive part. $15 maybe for the bolt and the stud. You're probably looking 25 bucks.
$25 gets you a part that you desperately need to keep this brand new 1200 that you've already spent so much money on to fix working perfectly for years and years to come. Jay, thanks so much for the help of the breakdown.
No problem.
Mike, get your ass over here and kiss his butt a little bit. He tore this damn thing down for you, brother. You got a 1200 coming out at ya. Welcome to Red Baron TV. If you remember last week, we tore down Mike's 883. This time, we're going to build it back up to that monster 1200 with the 10-to-1 ratio. We're also going to check out the Baron's personal ride this season, the Neptune 300. We're going to take an inside look at that fully built Powder X booth. We're going to check out a brand new line courtesy of the Baron for 2010, the Hardcore 2. All this and much, much more right here at Red Baron TV. All right, so now we're going with this 10-to-1 ratio, making this a 1200. Now, I just got off the Baron's bike that you tweaked last week, and that was retarded scary. I've never gone so fast, so quick in my life, except on a damn jet airplane. Because this was once an 883, and a lot of people don't know this, this is actually going to be faster with more torque than most 1200s. Am I right?
Correct.
Now, why is that?
Really, it's just a little bit with the case difference. There's just the primary is a little bit shorter, which relieves for less horsepower loss and torque loss.
So because the primary chain is just a little bit shorter, you don't lose all that horsepower and torque. So this thing is going to be a bat out of hell.
Yes.
And what a fitting engine to the unbelievable red lipstick devil machine that Mike is putting together. No front brake, all rear brake. This guy's going to be nuts. He's going to kill himself. Well, let's put together this death machine and make it run like a champ for Mike. I'm joined by Red Baron Master Mechanic Jay Richard. What's going on, Jay?
How we doing?
Phenomenal, brother, and I'm excited about this. Now, last time you remember, Jay and I tore down the top end. We threw out the old pistons, and we're now getting ready to make customer Mike's 883, a 10-to-1 ratio, 1200 monster. Now, what do we need to make that happen?
All right, first things first, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Red Baron Power Cart, and we're going to get part number 11-0589T, which is our kit for the 1200 build-up kit with a 10.5-to-1 compression.
Now, that kit is basically just the pistons. Everything else is Mike's original engine, correct?
Yeah, what we got here is a new set of pistons, new set of cylinders, rings, and all the gaskets. So we're using his existing heads and rocker boxes and everything.
Very cool. So what do we start with first? Now, last time, you remember, we had to pack our case head so that nothing got inside. Of course, we got to pull that out. After that, what do we start doing?
Well, what I did before you got here, Chris, is I went ahead and cleaned off all my gasket surfaces. That's the first thing you got to do, because otherwise, you go to put a new gasket on top of an old one, it's not going to seal correctly.
Okay.
So I went ahead and cleaned off all the gaskets, got everything set up here in front of you, and we're ready for assembly.
So basically, somewhat self-explanatory right out of the box for you.
Yep.
Phenomenal.
First thing we're going to do, we're going to take our pistons and go ahead and install the rings.
First of all, before we start looking at the pistons, grab me that old piston, would you please, sir? check out the new piston to the old piston. Ladies and gentlemen, 883, 10-to-1 ratio, Monster 1200. Just look at the size difference. That is power, torque, and horsepower shoved right down the road.
All right. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to install our rings. Now these rings already come pre-gapped and everything for these cylinders and for these pistons.
Awesome.
So you don't have to do anything except for install them. Now you can see in here, you got a top groove, second groove, and a third groove.
So basically somewhat self-explanatory right out of the box for you.
Yep.
Phenomenal.
Start with your third groove, which is going to be your bottom groove. This is your oil ring. There's actually 3 rings that are going to go here. What you're going to do is you're going to install the separator ring first because there's a ridge on the back side, so you're not going to be able to put the rings through. So go ahead and throw this one on. Fits like so. Go ahead and grab. These are not directional, they can go on either way.
But now you do want to put one on top and one on bottom of that oil ring, correct?
Yes, yes. All right. Now when you get these on here, you're going to have to set the gaps at different places. Now we have our oil expander ring installed and our 2 upper and lower rings for your oil expander ring.
So we have our third groove rings on. Now we're going for the second groove. Why don't you walk us through that?
All right. This here is your second ring. This is a directional ring. Right here is a bevel. The bevel edge goes up. Okay, now with the bevel edge up, install it just the same as you did your lower rings.
We got 2 down, 1 to go.
Yep.
Top ring coming on.
Top ring is not directional. There is no bevel. Therefore, it just goes on, and anyway, whichever way you feel it'll fit.
Back piston, same as the front piston. Put the rings on the exact same way, and you're ready to put them in. All right, so we got our pistons put together. We're ready to put them on, but first we got to go with the gaskets, right?
Yep. These gaskets are only going to fit one way. You have oil passages and dowel openings. That's going to fit on only one way.
Just match up the holes and the dowels to the proper holes and dowel marks on your gasket, and you're good to go. Gaskets are on, all the surface area is clean. It's time to throw these monster pistons on.
First thing we're going to do is take our spring clip and go ahead and install it on the outside there.
Now those of you at home that aren't a professional, wear safety goggles at all times. Safety is paramount. If that happens to snap off and catch you in the eye, we warned you. Wear safety goggles at all times.
All right, go ahead and got that in there. Take our connecting pin, a generous amount of assembly lube.
Now you can get your assembly lube right here at the Power Cart at redbarronshoppers.com. Assembly lube is mandatory for this build.
All right, these pistons are directional. It says it right on the front, forward. There's an arrow. All right, we're going to go ahead, set this on here. If you can hold that little rod.
Yep.
Slide that through. Slides all the way in. And there you go.
Front piston's put on, rear piston ready to go. So the good thing about working with C-clips, as I call them, retainer clips, I got short midget sausage fingers. So every time I dealt with them, they bounced all over the damn place. So a good thing to do is put those tissue that you pulled out, making sure nothing fell down into your lower case, put them back on again, because if you lose this C-clip in your lower case, you are screwed. So you got your rag stuffed in there so you don't drop anything in. And now you're going to slide that C-clip into the back end of that brand new piston.